Yes, well, good news is that police officer is doing better tonight. And in other news, Lee Carl caught up with Governor DeYoung at the Memorial Day celebration on St. Thomas recently. The rum cover-up and crime were foremost on the governor's mind. Let's take a look.
I had a chance to speak to the governor about the cover-over bill he's obviously pleased about. And then we also talked about crime in Jamaica and the Virgin Islands.
I'm extremely pleased about the cover-over passage in the House. Now it goes back to the Senate. A tremendous amount of work had gone into educating members of Congress with respect to the importance of the cover-over for the Virgin Islands. Because the cover-over doesn't just represent the increase that takes place, but it's also a way that we support a tremendous amount of social and healthcare programs in our community, and the loss of that would have meant over $20 million for us. So the fact that it passed and it will now go to the Senate makes is great for us, because it maintains that revenue base that we need, particularly at a time like this where we're experiencing tremendous decrease in revenues in other areas. And we made the very firm policy decision that we wanted to try to make sure that our employees in our communities continue to pay for their groceries, make their home payments, make their car payments, and we've taken on a strategy that's key is the cover-over program, and the future revenues we'll recognize.
Governor, does this help us in our, excuse the expression, fight with Puerto Rico? Doesn't it really say to Congress saying, okay, we understand what you're talking about?
I think so. I think it does represent that, particularly when you consider that Puerto Rico did not sign on to approve this. Inside of that bill also is another benefit, which is the increase in unemployment benefits, which at this period of time is also extremely important to families and communities. So I think that's exactly what it does say, and it shows the importance. I don't think the fight is over. I still think it's an educational process we're going to have to go through to get people to understand the importance of the cover-over, and also the tremendous change that's taking place with respect to the revenue streams that will come in for the Virgin Islands, because it really means investment in our community and a continuation of a lot of healthcare programs.
Now it has to go to
the Senate.
The Senate.
The Senate. And we feel comfortable that, again, if we continue to do what we've been doing, and the tremendous work the delegates been doing, the tremendous support we've gotten in the House, and we'll get in the Senate, I think we can feel fairly certain it'll survive.
We have our own crime problems, but as governor, you've been watching what's been happening in Jamaica. Comment on it?
Well, clearly I feel for the people of Jamaica right now, particularly what's happening in their major cities, the impact in their community, but in the tourism industry and what it's going to do. But clearly they're fighting, and they're fighting strong, and as long as there's the belief that what's happening with gangs is not the right thing, then the community will go through, and they'll succeed in the long run. Here in the Virgin Islands, as we learned last week, with having the Association of Caribbean Commissioners of Police here, and also our anti-gang, it's an issue and it's a problem. But we recognize that, and that's the first thing you have to do towards changing it. But we also learned it's not a Virgin Islands only problem. It's a problem that's regional, and it's a problem that's national. And the first part and the best way to fight it is to build families, build communities, and build values, and particularly with gang involvement. And that's exactly the type of programs that we're doing right now with the anti-bullying program, with initiatives that we're doing within our schools. The police are much more active in terms of saturated patrols, stopping. So we're doing all the right things. We're making the right investments, and we're increasing the number of guns we're taking off the streets. Our conviction rate is up. So the community continues to support us, and I'm appreciative of that. I ask you to continue to support us, and we will win this battle. It's a battle we're fighting on two fronts. One, in the immediate, two, the long-term investments in our children that are necessary.
In St. Thomas, Lee Carl for News Channel 8.
Well, today is June 1st. That means it's the start of the hurricane season, and already there's activity on the Pacific side of Central America as Tropical Storm Agatha has taken the life of 144 people, with still more missing. Rescue operations are underway in Guatemala tonight by disaster management and 24-hour help from volunteers. Now, this should be a warning for us here in the territory on the Atlantic side, as the predictions of activity are expected to be high this year. Here's a list of the hurricane names expected for the 2010 season. The season on us, it will bring more rain to our area, and that brings a higher onset of possible dengue-carrying mosquitoes. Sadly, standing water is a big culprit in attracting mosquitoes, and the Virgin Islands Health Department is asking for us to do our part by taking small precautions, such as reporting standing water at 773-1311, extension 3101 on St. Croix, and reporting standing water on St. Thomas at 774-9000, extension 4641. Other key points to keep in mind include covering and replacing window screens and cistern mesh. Discard covered or stored tires and flower pots. Watch pet bowls and keep them covered when you can. Wear repellent when possible, but children should not use mosquito repellent containing DEET, especially if they're under the age of 2 years old. Well, if you watched Channel 8 News last night, we brought you highlights from St. Croix, the Memorial Day Parade. Let's take a look at some highlights from St. Thomas.
The Veterans Park at the Memorial Park, small parade. We get a general idea. The ceremony wasn't as big as it normally was, but the heart was there. So here is the Master of Ceremonies introducing the various folks who were part of this.
Peace. Render salute to the monument. Order. Left. Peace. Forward. Ready.
I watched the flag pass by one day. It fluttered in the breeze. A young serviceman saluted it, then stood at ease. I looked at him in uniform, so young, so tall, so proud, with hair cut square and eyes alert. He'll stand out in any crowd. I thought, how many men like him had fallen through the years? How many died on foreign soil? How many mothers' tears? I transferred while in uniform, protected freedom through a storm. Should I resent, I die for you, not on my life, red, white, and blue. And of the country I did love, do think of me through God above. Your memories brought forth this day, send love to us who could not stay.
This day is set aside to unite the people of the United States and the territory in prayer for a permanent world peace, and to give thanks for the great blessings of freedom and peace. And whereas we protect the ideals for which these Americans so valiantly gave of themselves.
When I think of Memorial Day, I think of Thanksgiving, a time to reflect on the goodness of God and the remembrance of the men and women who have sacrificed their time, their families, and for some, their lives, so that we can enjoy the freedoms that we tend to take for granted.
Many parts of the United States and many parts of this world, others are celebrating both the solemn part of a day that this represents, but also the joy of what a day like today represents. A day where we consider and we think about those that have fallen on our behalf and those that continue to serve to make our lives better. The pride the Virgin Islanders have in being part of the armed forces goes back to the early 1800s, when one of the first joined as part of the Navy. Until today, we see our young in the cadet corps and in the ROTC. So today is a day that we honor them for the past that they served, but also we look at our future, because it talks about our value system as a community, that young people will stand up, get out, and serve.
In St. Thomas at Veterans Park for Memorial Day services 2010, Lee Carl for News Channel 8.
And we want to thank Lee Carl for bringing us that footage. When we come back from this break, we'll take a look at your Caribbean report. Stay with us on Channel 8.